Okay, so I'm going to share this broadcast onto my multiple group first. Give me a sec.
How many Facebook groups do you have?
3.
Wow, and so one is the paid one is the open one?
Yes. Let me see if okay. Hey guys, whoever you're watching, okay. We are going to share this real quick.
Excuse me.
We have 1 viewer now.
Well, for that 1 viewer, you're going to get a free ebook because pioneers get rewards.
Okay, who's that one person is watching? Let me know. Oh, it's Andy. Okay, Andy is going to get your ebook.
Wait, Andy Gray?
Andy Chan, he's one of my clients.
So Andy Chan, you get a free ebook. Amazon #1 bestseller.
Alright, let's hold on, just taking some time to share.
Can I see the people? Hey Andy, yeah. So where are you based out of, Andy? We got 7 people. Lucky number 7.
Can you see the comments?
I cannot.
Oh.
Andy, they pop out. Okay, Temple City, yeah. They pop in and out of the screen. So.
I see. Okay.
Hey TJ Love, thanks for signing up.
Okay, I'm still sharing. Hold on.
So if you can all, can you just tell me where you're all from? So right now I'm actually in Barcelona. So TJ Love's from California. What part of California, TJ? Where's everyone from? You can type in the comments. San Jose in the house.
All right, so I just finished sharing to this broadcast to all my Facebook groups. Should we get started?
Sounds good, Ellen.
All right, so welcome, guys. So I would like to introduce you Christopher Kai. Christopher Kai is an entrepreneur, global speaker, founder of the GIFT Professional Speaker Program, and an Amazon #1 best-selling author of Big and Hunting, networking with billionaire executives and celebrities. And that book totally changed my life. So if you are interested in that book...
Say that again, Alan, please. Say that again.
What? Say that again?
You said it changed your life?
Yeah, that book totally changed my life.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in getting that book, just go to christopherkai.com and see where you can buy that ebook somewhere. Okay, so Christopher has given over 1,000 presentations to a global audience from 30 countries. His audience include Fortune 500 companies like Google, New York Life, and American Express. He has been featured on Forbes, ABC News, Fast Company, Huffington Post, and Inc. magazine. And Inc. magazine has referred him as the Billionaire Networker. And Christopher also created Mondays at the Mission, the only homeless youth program of its kind in the world, where its participants like Elon Musk have been profiled and over 100 publications like CNN, People, the Ellen Lin, Forbes, and Oprah. He is a former business strategist at American Express, featured in Forbes, and his new gifted professional speaker online program helps entrepreneurs become what he calls the next level networkers. When you position yourself as a speaker, you have the best opportunity to find more leads, clients, investors, business partners, and referrals at the networking events. So I'll hand the microphone
Great.
to Chris.
I'm taking the microphone and 6,000 miles away. So this is the beauty of life in that I'm literally in Barcelona. As many of you know, there was a bit of a tragedy last week, and that's unfortunate. But things happen, and you do your best to kind of live life. The book's name is Big Game Hunting: Networking with Billionaires, Executives and Celebrities. I'll just put that in the chat box right now. Big Game Hunting. And you can just go to my website, christopherkai.com, and it is there. Networking with Billionaires, Executives, and Celebrities. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to just give you a brief overview of who I am and why the title of this webinar is called Why Meeting Billionaires Will Improve Your E-Commerce. So just a little background information about myself. I was born and raised in New York City, and my mother was a school teacher. My father was a case manager, so I had no money, no access, no connections. And over time, I started seeing people more successful, like my uncle, who was an entrepreneur, and he hired me at age 12. And at 12, I started understanding what an entrepreneur is: getting clients, building business, having a sense of integrity, sales, marketing, strategy. And then when I got to college, I started getting very active in student leadership roles. And then when I was in my mid-20s, I started working at American Express. At American Express in New York City, I used to develop sales presentations for our largest clients like IBM, Pfizer. So it gave me a really high-level understanding of globally pitching like companies like IBM and Microsoft. And after leaving that, I decided to come out to California. I've been here for over 10 years. And really, I built up my company, a consulting company, where at first it was about sales, branding, business development. And then after writing this book about networking with billionaires, you know, how could it be that I grew up with modest beginnings, but somehow I figured out how to sign up a client who makes $100 million, or close another client who sold his company for $100 million, or meet people like Elon Musk and collaborate with them from a nonprofit standpoint. And so it's really about having a mindset. So the point of this webinar about why meeting billionaires will improve your e-commerce, it's not a surprise. And type in the comments, everyone, who is the entrepreneur, billionaire, who actually just got richer than Bill Gates? Who wants to guess? Type in the chat box. Who is the entrepreneur recently that surpassed Bill Gates as the richest person in the world? Anyone want to guess? Whoever guesses it right, first one.
Yes, no.
Whoever guesses it right will get my free ebook, #1 bestseller. The rankings change literally every hour, but for last year, 4 days, it was #1 in the small business category. So if anyone want to type in the comments, who's the entrepreneur that recently surpassed Bill Gates to be the wealthiest person in the world, just for a brief moment? No one wants to guess? No one wants a free book? Or can I see the comments, Ellen? Because before people it just popped up on my screen.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Musk.
Yeah.
So Luis Velasquez gets it right. So Luis, good job. It's Jeff Bezos. And so here's the thing. What are we talking about right now, right? How do you improve your e-commerce? Whether in Ellen's case, she's selling scuba gear, or other friends that I know, they're either selling online products or offline products. But the point is, Lawrence, you got it right too. What I'm saying is, Jeff Bezos was the richest man in the world for a brief moment, but he's absolutely going to surpass Bill Gates, because Bill Gates is not making any money anymore, at least from a Microsoft standpoint. He's actually giving away a lot of money. But why I'm telling you this is because it's not a coincidence that Jeff Bezos is and was the richest person in the world, but he will absolutely surpass Bill Gates. And when you look at Jeff Bezos, if you study the people that are the billionaires, but especially Jeff Bezos, he had a day job. He started seeing that the internet was coming about, and then he started Amazon, excuse me, in about 1993. And so for the last 20 plus years, he's literally created and shifted the entire universe to Amazon. And now you can see some of the areas that he's getting into. He's actually developed the cloud-based business that he has now. He bought Washington Post, and many of you might know that he bought Whole Foods. And now this is the thing. When you look at the Jeff Bezos, he also has a company called Blue Origin, which is like Elon Musk. He wants to shoot into outer space. He also has a 10,000-year clock project where he wants to create a 10,000-year clock. Did you know that, Ellen?
What?
He has an actual project called a 10,000-year clock.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm sharing this with your guest, Ellen, is because if you want to be successful, whether you want to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire, you have to look at the people that are successful. And if Jeff Bezos just surpassed Bill Gates in terms of the richest person in the world, if you all are on e-commerce, well, you have to look higher, aim higher, and see the people that are inspiring and look at that macro trends. Because if you look at Jeff Bezos, you look at Bill Gates, he started Microsoft in the 70s, and he essentially ushered in the new world of computers where it seems nonsensical, but his dream 40 years ago was to have a computer on every desk in every home. Now, again, right now, it's obvious that everyone has a computer or a laptop or an iPad or a phone, but back then, 40 years ago, it wasn't even existent because that's when it just started. So for everyone on this webinar, I want you to be mindful that the mindset of a billionaire is about global. It's about unlimited. It's about this far-reaching mentality where if Elon Musk wants to go to outer space, if Elon Musk wants to go into AI, well, Jeff Bezos, same thing. So the reason why I wanted to stress that whatever you're doing, you're going to have doubts, you're going to have fears, you're going to be some nervous sometimes. But if you look at the people in your industry, look at the Ellens of the world, look at the people that are doing what you want to do, you model them, and then in time, when you want to rise it even higher and scale even more, like let's say Ellen wants to, excuse me, reach 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. When you start getting to the 50 to 100 million dollars, that's when the private equity starts coming in and the VCs and understanding different technology and understanding different types of terminology, I should say. So with Jeff Bezos, he's a great example of who you should model and look toward because he's not just an e-commerce guy. He's also experimenting with drones. And so the lesson that I want to share is that you look at what Jeff Bezos does, and he's not just this one-dimensional guy. And if he has these multi-dimensional personalities, well, what are you doing in your life to constantly broaden your horizons, to constantly push yourself, to constantly ask yourself, well, what can I do more to understand how to sell more things? Understand that Washington Post is a great tool for him to promote whatever he wants because he has a certain type of mentality, a political viewpoint, and the Whole Foods, he's going into a market that is clearly saturated, but he's an e-commerce guy. He ended up turning Washington Post into a profitable business. And then Whole Foods, I have no doubt that what he does, he's going to take all of his experience in e-commerce and then make the Whole Foods world even better and more efficient because that's what he did with Washington Post. Because what people may or may not realize, if he has crushed it in the e-commerce world, then he knows all the algorithms, he knows the way to target people. And if you literally look at Google, Amazon, and Facebook, they are more powerful than any country in the world because they have all this data. There's a book called Thank You for Being Late by Thomas L. Friedman. Thomas L. Friedman is a New York Times bestselling author, and the book is called Thank You for Being Late. And going back to billionaires, mindset, understanding how to be more successful in business, you have to meet the people or learn about the people that you want to be like to broaden your horizon. And so what this guy, Thomas Friedman, essentially says is, in the past, getting money, getting riches was really about exploiting resources, getting oil, getting copper, getting iron, getting all these resources. Now it's about connections. It's about what you and I are doing, Ellen. It's about this global digital community where for all of you that want to build up your e-commerce business, at one point you're just trying to figure out how to get more leads, how to get more sales, how to drive traffic through Facebook ads. But then you're going to get to the point where, okay, how do you scale even higher? And you're going to want to start understanding, well, what does Jeff Bezos do? What does Ty Lopez does? What does Lewis House does? What does Gary Vaynerchuk does? And so every single level you get to, it's a different skill set. Does that make sense, Ellen?
Yes, totally.
So what I encourage your audience to do is really, you have to decide how high of an ambition you have. So if my ambition is to be a billionaire, or at least $100 billion, because when you get to $100 billion and higher, it's about changing the world. I have no interest in making money for money's sake. It's about, if you want to change the world realistically, you have to have a lot of money or access to a lot of money. So for the people on this call, I wrote this book about networking billionaires because I am changing the world locally, nationally, somewhat on a global level, but it's about scaling it. So I'm just going to really have this more of as a Q&A. I am at a friend's place in Barcelona, and he had some unexpected guests that's visiting from out of town, which I thought I would have more time. So I have actually only about 15, 20 minutes. But what I wanted to do is I'm going to give everyone my email. It's chris@christopherkai.com. I'm not even giving my assistant's email. I'm going to give you my email. It's chris@christopherkai.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask because I apologize because I was going to plan on spending a little bit longer here. instance, my friend has some unexpected guests, like business and life is like that because sometimes you don't know. Thank you, Ellen, for posting that. But what I really wanted to do is just kind of open up for questions. If anyone has questions about, mindset and what you're trying to go through now, because my skill set isn't so much about e-commerce. My skill set isn't about how do you drive more traffic. That's actually what Ellen's here for. My skill set is really about how do you make connections. If you, let's say, want to meet a better digital marketer, you want to meet a better chief operating officer, chief financial officer, or CEO, it's about understanding that building relationships is key. Even though we're in the e-commerce world, at one point you're going to need people on your team. And if you don't understand how to communicate with them, it's really important that you level up. And one example of that is this. Instead of asking people, what do you do, the better question to ask is, what you're interested in doing in terms of your interests. Like, let's say I love to volunteer, I love to give back, I love to do charity, I love to travel. And who is the person that you most enjoy spending your time with? Like Ellen, who do you like spending time with?
My family and my dogs.
Yeah. What's your dog's name?
Donna, Hachiko, Soba.
Yeah. So even just listening to your dog's names and seeing your smile and seeing you light up, you clearly have a strong affinity to your dogs. And so when you meet people, for the people on this call, you have to make sure that you focus on them, because most people, to be honest, they don't really care about us. We're sorry to pop that thing of people thinking, oh, they care. I'm like, you know what? Just think about how you can serve other people. And with this webinar about meeting billionaires, it's about a mindset, because if you want to make money, let's say you haven't made $100,000 yet, or you haven't made $500,000 yet, or you haven't made $1 million yet, the higher up you go in the success level, at least from a financial standpoint, the more different types of people you need to meet. Let's say Tai Lopez. I mean, the guy makes $5 to $10 million on just one program in 6 months. So you have to understand that he has about 30 to 40 people on his team. I've met him multiple times. I've worked with him multiple times. I've given his speeches there, and I've helped bring other speakers. But Tai Lopez is a perfect example. If I ever want to work with him as a business partnership, which I probably will not, but he has a different style as I do. But what I'm saying is I've already added so much value to his life, gave so many videos, gave so many speakers, that now it's almost like, okay, who is this guy, Christopher Kai? And so in your case, anytime you need to actually meet people that's outside of e-commerce, it's all about relationships, which is why I wrote a book about networking, because networking is about connection. And connection will never be replaced with the computer, even though now it amplifies what we're doing. So what I'm really going to do is really just open up for questions. The whole point of the billionaire thing is just having a mindset. So the more ambitious you are, the bigger the network you need, and the more of a broader billionaire or millionaire type mindset you need to actually grow and succeed in life. Does that make sense, Ellen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to just open up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? I actually haven't seen many questions or comments.
I think there's some delay.
Is that what it is? Can you read some of the questions out? If anyone has any questions about networking, about branding, about how do you build better business relationships, or how do you get investors, or how do you get clients, or how do you get more clients? Because I don't see any comments. Oh, okay. How much minimum investment in money required? Abdul said. So it's cut off, Ellen. Can you read what Abdul said?
How much minimum investment in money required to start online business on Amazon? What are the basics to start e-commerce? I think that question is for me. It's not about network.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, again, just so you know, Ellen is a client of mine, a friend of mine, so this is why I'm taking this call. But usually, I don't usually do these type of calls anymore, because it's about valuing your time. When Eagle Talent is a speaking bureau, they actually hire me out and they represent me, and I charge $15,000 per hour. But I just closed a speaking opportunity that cost $30,000. So I really encourage you. I wish I had this call. I wish I had people to go on these calls, and because thanks to Ellen, that's why you made a great investment in Ellen's program. But please use me. I want you to use me. Ask me whatever questions you want as it relates to networking, as it relates to if I'm small unemployment, why would a billionaire? Can you read that question?
Yeah. If I'm small and unimportant, why would billionaire want to spend time with me?
So here's the thing. Just you saying that you're small and unemployment is a mindset you shouldn't have. We all have value in as human beings. And so that very mindset of if I'm small and unimportant, you have to just burn away that mindset, Andy. and say, you know what, I am a person of value. I have value to give. And let me give you a very specific example. Richard Branson tweets out at one point, says, hey, the first person that donates $2,000 to my charity in Florida, I'm going to invite them to a private mansion party. And a woman named Stacey Ferreira, who's in my book, she's 18 years old, responds to that text and says, Mr. Branson, I'm not even 21 yet. I can't drink, but I'd love to support your charity. Mr. Branson says yes. Richard Branson says yes. She flies out there with her brother, donates $2,000, but she ends up getting an investment from Richard Branson for a few $100,000 for her startups. That's one example. Now, this is where, unfortunately, people are very cynical and they're pessimistic. Like, well, okay, Chris, that's like winning the lottery. And like I said, so much of life is mindset. Ellen? Ellen, am I still on? Because I lost you. Ellen? Yeah.
It's all good now, Chris.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So just keep asking questions. Again, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. So to answer your question, Andy, again, first you have to burn away that thought about how you're saying you're small in unemployment. And remember, Elon Musk didn't grow up with money. Elon Musk grew up in Pretoria, South Africa. He was beaten and abused by a lot of his classmates. That's why he came out here. Didn't have a good relationship with his father. Came out to came out to Canada at one point, and he used to live in a very dingy household in a place. So just remember, a lot of people that are successful didn't start that way. So, Andy, to answer your question, one is you are important and you are valuable. And from that mindset, then you can approach anyone in the world. And then when you might say, well, what value do we bring? Again, most of these people have charities, and that's the best way to actually help them or offer them like what I did to give him an opportunity to serve. Because if you're going to talk about business, you're not on his level. You know? Even with me, like people always say, I want to take you out for coffee, Chris. I'm like, no. Like I have given my time now, and if let's say you want to hire me or invite me to speak, that's great. But beyond that, it's about even with Ellen. Like Ellen has, her program too and her business. But this is why just utilize me now and just ask whatever questions you want because I really, really want to help you. And so, Andy, great question. Any other questions, Ellen?
Yeah, Abdul has a question. He asked, how can I find mentor plus investor for expanding my restaurant business? So
first of all, actually, it's funny you asked that because one of my mentors was a man who had $100 million. He grossed $100 million. You're welcome, Andy. He grossed $100 million. Now he's about $200 million. And I actually asked him at the time, hey, Doug, I'd love to take you out for coffee. I admire your success. And he was kind enough to actually go to lunch with me month after month after month. And about 6 months in, I got to know him first, which is really important. Most people don't do that anymore. I treated him for lunch, which is ironic because he makes $100 million and I don't yet. And over 5 months, 6 months, I'm like, you know what? I can help this guy. And then 3 or 4 months later, he ended up hiring me. And from that, I ended up making a lot of money from that one networking opportunity where I asked him as a mentor. He ended up becoming a client. He's a friend of mine now. At one point, we could have been actually partners in a firm that we started, but I started my own stuff. So that's one thing, just literally just asking people. But, some people, mentors in that case, I didn't pay him per se. And like, let's say in my program or Ellen's program, you have us as mentors. It's more of like a paid relationship. And then the other thing is you have to make sure that you understand the most basic financial statements and financial income type things, meaning you need at least 3 years of income. No investor is going to take you seriously if you don't have at least 3 years of actual financial statements that you can show him or her to show them that you're legitimate, show them your cash flow, show them your income statement, because there's 3 basic things like the income statement, your balance sheet, and I think it's a cash flow statement. again, my financial aspect is not the strongest, but at the most basic level, you have to have at least 3 years of minimum, operations. And if you want to expand, you have to start looking at what a business plan is, who your competitors are, what the industry is, because in the restaurant business, it's what they call a penny business, which means there's not a lot of money. It's a high cash flow business, but there's also like a high burn rate and a high capital expenditure. So for whoever asked that question, what was that person's name, Ellen?
Abdul?
Yeah, Abdul. You have to make sure you really, really, really know your business side of restaurants. And you have to make sure you know what the trends are. At one point when I was working with my client, the trends were more toward fast casual. And even that term fast casual, if you don't know what that term is, you have to make sure you know the terminology, because in the restaurant business, you have to know that right now what's trending is healthy, what's trending is vegan, what's trending is vegetarian, what's trending is not the sit-down restaurants. It's more of like, again, what they call fast casual, where they're not really serving you as much, So just make sure you know the terminology, make sure your financial statements are in place, and make sure you really understand the macro trends of restaurant business, because the macro trends allow you to see potential in the future, allow you to project different numbers, and that you're letting the investor know that you are a person that is mindful of trends, because trends kind of let you see what direction you're heading in life. Any other questions, Ellen?
I don't see any questions. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah. Oh, Andy just say thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So, who for those two people, Andy and Louis, how do they get your free ebook because they got the answer right?
Yeah, they can just email me, chris@christopherkai.com. Chris@christopherkai.com.
And Andy has a question. He asked, so networking is about business, not about friendship? Question mark.
Well, not really. Like, here's the thing. I network for 3 reasons. I don't actually go to networking events anymore because I'm at a point where, I'm a speaker. So for me, I speak at events, right? But for the most people, I actually encourage you all to be speakers. That's why I created a program to encourage you and to teach you how to be a speaker, because you're elevated to a status. You get it for free. Sometimes they pay you. But great question. When I go to network or go out to any event, I just call any event networking. It's either personal, professional, or philanthropic. The personal one is I'm on a Acela train from Boston to New York a few years back. Sitting next to me is a guy named John, who ends up being a former Navy SEAL officer, a former sniper, a guy that's been on 500 missions. He is getting his PhD, and just an all-around cool guy. I don't know if I'll do business with him, but he's a cool guy. If I want to be a cool person, if I want to learn, if I want to grow, I just stayed in touch with him. In time, he ended up meeting his wife from a connection I made. So that's personal, okay? Nothing that I got out of it except good karma. Secondly is business. Everywhere I go now, if a person's a client for speaking, a person is a client for my online program where I've codified what I learned over 17 years as a speaker into 5 basic steps on why you're the speaker, who you're going to talk to, what your product is or service or coaching thing, and how do you actually persuade them. It's about a system that I created. So when I network, it's about, is this person going to hire me as a speaker? Is this person going to be a GPS client like Ellen is? Or is this person going to potentially help promote my business? And lastly, philanthropic. Elon Musk, I haven't done business with yet, but I do a lot of work with the homeless community. And so anytime I see a speaker that might be interesting, so let's say, Ellen, if you ever want to come down, please feel free to come down. There's that reason. But notice how I was very, very intentional, very specific. There's no ambiguity. There's no, well, where do I go, Chris? Well, first of all, you go to the rooms that you want to go to. So if I'm, let's say, speaking, it's not a coincidence, let's say, Ellen, that the $30,000 gig that I got recently to speak, I met at a global conference where the former president of Mexico was there, where the U.S. Secretary of Defense was there, where President Clinton has spoken there, where it cost $1,000. So in that case, I'm meeting people that want to hire me as a speaker. Does that make sense? So for networking, it can be personal, it can be business, and it can be philanthropic. And I encourage you to be all 3. There's no reason why you have to pick and choose one.
Got a question. So I think this question is more for me. Con is asking, is networking going to help making sales on Amazon or other selling sites? Yes. Again, so for the e-commerce stuff, you definitely obviously ask Ellen. But I'm saying at one point, if you need an investor, at one point, if you need a better CFO, COO, chief marketing, if you want to meet relationship people, if you need to connect with people, you have to remember that computers don't talk to human beings. Human beings talk to human beings.
So you have to remember that, yeah, you can make a lot of money online, but at one point you have to step away from your computer and actually talk to people. And I give Ellen a massive amount of credit because I met her a year ago. She's speaking in Lithuania. She's speaking in Chicago. She's being inspired. She's more animated. I mean, so look at Ellen as an example of how, yes, she's doing well online, but she recognizes the importance of speaking more. Like, why do you want to speak more, Ellen?
Because I have this great message I want to give it to people. If I don't speak, and then I don't know if there's any other ways for me to get those message out. Speaking is the most important thing that you communicate with people.
Awesome. See, I mean, again, and Ellen's a very successful e-commerce person. Again, if you want to aspire to inspire people, if you want to reach out more, the person that asks the question will help. It'll help when you want to meet people. I mean, obviously, it's a different skill set online with the analytics and the Facebook ads and all the conversions. But as soon as you have to actually it does help because you will convert more people if you understand psychology. And you won't understand psychology if you don't understand people. So from a more macro underlying tone standpoint, it is important because if you read a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini, The Psychology of Persuasion, it's all about psychology. If you understand the psychology of your customer, and trust me when I say, Jeff Bezos understands people, and he's one of the most successful e-commerce people in the world, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to just do 3 more questions. If anyone has 3 more questions, because again, I got to go, I apologize.
Yeah,
email me.
Ted has a question. He's asking, in a networking event, how would you approach people if you are an introvert and have less knowledge than others?
So less knowledge is not an excuse because all of us has as much knowledge as the president can with Google. So that's absolutely not an excuse. Secondly is many people are surprised that I say I'm an introvert. And they're like, what, Chris, you're an introvert? You wrote a book about networking? I'm like, yeah. I actually prefer being by myself, reading, meditating, taking walks. So I'm an introvert, but I'm an intentional extrovert, meaning like what Ellen said, if I know I have a gift, I have a story, I have a message, which all of us do, I'm not going to allow my introversion, my fear of talking to people to talk to people. Now, granted, I was much more extroverted when I was younger, but now I'm much more introverted by choice, and now I'm intentionally extroverted when I'm out there to speak. So the introversion is you find someone that's extroverted like myself, or at least at my side. So just find people that are more outgoing naturally, and that'll help you bridge that gap between introversion and extroversion. So 2 more questions. Please, please, please use this time. Again, I'm traveling a lot. I'm in Barcelona, and I say this because I wish I had people with experience to help me for free. You know, like, you want to buy my program? Great. It's only $1,000, but I haven't even asked you to, buy my program. I haven't asked you for anything, actually. I'm like, just ask questions.
I don't see any question. I have a quick question for you. I know you told me about this already, but I think people want to know, how did you meet Elon Musk?
I made a $1,000 charity function that Sean Penn has every year, in Beverly Hills at the Montage Hotel. And this is the thing. You will not meet the people you want to meet in life if you're hanging out at some small town, small city, and you say, I know, Chris, but I don't live in Beverly Hills. I'm like, I live in Beverly Hills now, but I didn't always live there. And no one's stopping you from flying out to LA and going to places where these people hang out. And if you don't go to these 5-star hotels, if you don't go to these charity functions, I actually talk about how to get into these things. And if you do buy my book, and some of you get it for free, it shows you how.
Okay. Khan has a question. He asked, you mentioned psychology of persuasion.
So it's called Influence. Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I'm gonna write it in the.
So any other books you recommend to read, especially books for the entrepreneur mindset?
There's actually a book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Dr. Carol Dweck, C-A-R-O-L, and then Dweck, D-W-E-C-K. And you should read my book. Like I said, it's like, I always remember what Maya Angelou said when she said, when you learn, teach, when you get, give. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't actually need to write books. I don't need to actually do these webinars, but I want to help people. I want to really give back because I've had mentors that helped me, and I want to help other people. I heard young people like to use social media. All right, so one final question, and then I got to go. And then yes, email me at chris@christopherkai.com if you have any other questions. I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, we got one
final question, Ellen.
One last question. On NDS, I heard
yes.
I heard young people like to use social media instead of face-to-face or phone call. What is your opinion on speaking versus posting and blogging?
So you should do all of them, because here, social media is essentially what millennials use, but nothing will ever replace me looking at Ellen, me and Ellen kind of like locking eyes, me and Ellen going to an event and physically meeting people. That will never be replaced by anything. Right, Ellen?
Yes, yes.
We met at Ty Lopez's thing last year, and we met in Lithuania last month. So I encourage you to do social media, but you have to step outside to meet people, because you'll never learn that by being on your computer. Ellen, thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, for those of you who want to stay in touch or email me about networking, or you want to learn more about my GPS program where I've codified how to get paid a few $1,000s per few days, or how to get paid $10,000 for, how do you just really position yourself from a branding standpoint to make that money, to make a difference, because it really is possible. Remember where I grew up, I only got paid $50 for my first speech, and now I'm making $30,000 for one speaking engagement, and it's only going to go higher. It is possible. Look at Ellen, look at myself. And so thank you all for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. Just email me at chris@christopherkai.com, and check out my website at christopherkai.com.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.